Hello again, and welcome to Media War Stories, behind the scenes tales from the front lines of the media. I am your host, Tom Curley. How you doing? If you're just tuning in for the first time, well, where the hell have you been? I was a former director for CBS News. I was there for 40 years, and I get together with old people that I've worked with. I say old people because, well, we're all old. And we tell war stories, stuff that happened behind the scenes and in front of the camera, behind the camera. And it's all under the general rubric of you can't make this shit up. And of course, I do it most of the time with this crazy guy, Mister Gary Armstrong.
Checking in,
Gary, how you
checking
doing?
in.
How you doing? Now, before we even
You were just
start,
talking about old people. I sometimes I think this happens to you. We stay up late watching whatever we're watching or reading whatever we're reading, and I just noticed when I turned off the last NCIS that I've been re-binging that it was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I just said to myself, "Oh, okay, no matter." So obviously I just stepped out of the shower a few minutes ago and I'm trying to get my head plugged back in, but the little people who work in my brain haven't awakened yet. So we'll do this as well as we can. Before we get into the subject matter of some of the crazy stuff that's been happening to you this week, I just want to say, with regard to the West Wing, the show is still wonderful, but we were watching one of the later episodes in the series. This is the one where Jimmy Smits has been nominated, and he and his wife have gone back to their home in Houston, Texas, for a quick breather. And the media, they're all over the place. And of course, his neighbors are really angry with the presence of the media and the gas fumes coming from the cars. And the media are crowded on their lawn. And the wife is saying, we can't go anywhere. They're all over the lawn. And as that scene played out, I was thinking, where's Tom Curley? And get off my lawn. So you're everywhere these days. And with that preface,
I'm everywhere
get off
these.
my
We'll
lawn.
we'll we'll,
You've been having
we'll
some
get to
wacko
that.
stuff happening this week. Is it true or are you making it up?
Yes, we are. I am not. We'll get to that in just a second. And this is something I should really just keep to myself. But I feel like we should be transparent. Alex Panzetta, our super fan and my unofficial, completely unpaid producer, fact checker, and mostly spell checker, is
Hmm.
always on top. And he texted me the other day and he said, I need to resign. I have failed. And I said, well, what are you talking about? And he said, well, when you font Gary's name, Gary Armstrong, um, you spelled it wrong. Gary Armstorm. And he said, that's gone back a
I
few
just looked at
episodes.
it.
So I looked at, and I
That's
went,
the first
what
time. That's the
the,
first time that's
what
ever
the,
happened.
well, I have no idea how it happened. I must have been typing something someday and, was in the
Yeah.
wrong,
Frequently
panel.
over the
So
years, and I used to just throw my hands up. They would spell my name. We're talking about when I was working, and they threw the name Chiron up. And sometimes it would be Gary with one R. That's an easy to understand mistake. But I've never had my last name botched like that. Is it
I
AI?
know. Well, so
Let's
no.
blame AI for
Something
that.
can't. I could blame the AI. I could. I know. However,
We're blaming
that'll
the
raise a
AI.
can
Those
of worms.
bastards. I'm coming for them. I mean,
I
this
know.
is
Yeah,
more
but
than
then
racist
now
now.
you're
You spell
talking.
my name wrong?
No, no,
No, I don't sit down for that
no.
stuff. No.
It's not. I can't blame the AI this time. Believe me, there's going to be union grievances. This was my fault. So as a mea culpa, for the next few episodes, I will font
Okay.
myself as Tom Crewley. All right, and we'll see if any. I mean, it's the only thing that I can think to do,
Oh
which
my
was
goodness.
also Alex's idea. But anyway, yeah. Speaking of get off my lawn, okay. Um, when I tell people about our show and get off my lawn, um, you know I will say, listen, come on my show and you will be heard by many many tens of people. All right, I guarantee that.
Big,
And
yes.
and and you know and some of our shows have gotten like our first show has gotten like almost 200 views, but it's been, around for a while. Our shows average,
Yes.
20, 50 if we're lucky. My Get Off My Lawns are always about the same thing. I have, 50 some plus subscribers, and I get, like I said, tens. I'm happy. But 2 days ago, I
Yeah.
did a Get Off My Lawn, which was based on a post from Serendipity that I did 7 years ago in 2017. All right. And it was called
Okay.
Nuts, Nut Jobs, and Nutter Butters. And so as I do, I take those old posts and I make them into scripts for Get Off My Lawn. And I did it. I posted it. Um, the first day I posted it, in the morning I had 10 views, and then by the evening I had 30, and I went, "Oh, that's nice." I woke up the next
Yeah.
day and I had over 350 views. I had over
Oh
2,700 people
my
looked
God.
at it. And for the first time, I get a comment once in a while, usually from friends of mine. But here I
Right.
started to get dozens of comments. And here's the thing, many of them were from MAGA folks, from Trump voters, and they were mad at me. And I went, "Oh
Really?
my God, I've yes, I'm getting hate mail from MAGA people." And I'm going like, how did they see it? What is going on here? So I thought maybe we should play it. It's only
Yes.
5 minutes, and did we hit a nerve? So anyway, just let's
Obviously.
watch this, and then we'll talk about it on the other side. Hi again, and welcome to another episode of Get Off My Lawn. I'm your host, Tom Curley. Now, back in August of 2017, about 7 years ago, I posted a blog about how we all have to start recognizing how Donald Trump is, well, nuts. And I pointed out that it was really important that the press and the media focus on this fact like a laser beam. Every story about him, their coverage of him, should all go back to the same topic. This guy is mentally ill. I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it again. When Grandpa starts to slip and he shows signs of dementia, we take away his car keys, we hire nurses to come into his home to help him, we maybe put him in a nursing home. But what is the one thing that we don't do? We don't put Grandpa in the Oval Office. On the plus side, the media is doing this more and more as we get closer and closer to this pivotal election. They have no choice. The things this guy is saying at rallies is literally incomprehensible. Now, there's a large group of psychiatrists and psychologists, and they're writing letters and screaming at the top of their lungs, "This guy is batshit crazy." Although they just use more medically correct language. Now, they've been doing this since 2017. Today, there's a whole new super PAC called Psycho PAC that's dedicated to showing how demented this guy is. And not in the cool Dr. Demento kind of way.
Don't forget to stay demented.
You're the one who said I love you true.
But I didn't start this episode to just talk about demented Don. I also want to talk about a larger group of nut jobs, especially the nut jobs that still want to vote for this nut job. Now, I understand that on Election Day 2016, lots of former Obama supporters voted for him, and lots of other people who felt he might shake things up voted for him. Now, as far as the latter group goes, I say that an earthquake also shakes things up. Doesn't mean I want to be around when one happens. I get it. You had your reasons. But that was then. This is now. But then you did it again in 2020. This is now. We have to know by now how crazy this guy is. We have to know by now how incompetent this guy is. We have to know by now how clueless this guy is. We know what kind of convictions this guy holds. Currently 34 and counting. He's literally running for president in order to stay out of jail. Still, Millions and millions of Americans still support this train wreck. Now, the media has been doing something since this guy got elected that drives me crazy. No matter what he does, no matter how stupid it is, no matter how mind-bogglingly horrific it is, the media always tags the story with this, but his base still supports him. To this I say, so what? Just because these assholes still support this jerk, everything he does is okay? Well, they say Republicans won't do anything because they're afraid of his base. They're afraid of being primaried by a more right-wing Republican. Really? Has anybody noticed that most of the Republicans currently in office are the folks who primaried a more moderate Republican? Mostly MAGA and ultra-MAGA. They're white supremacists. They defend Nazis. Who the hell out there is more right-wing than these crazy bastards than the ones that are currently there? The only thing we can really do is vote them out this year. Now, the other thing that drives me nuts is the constant stories about how do we reach the Trump voter? What will it take to turn them against Trump? To this, I have an answer. Nothing. These whack jobs are lost. They're in a cult. They believe every stupid conspiracy theory put out by the alt-right. They will never wake up. Even after they've got no new jobs, even after their taxes go up when rich billionaires' taxes go down, even when they get poorer and poorer, even when they lose their health care, they're lost. Forget them. Ignore them. And try to remember this very important fact. They are a minority. Demented Don lost the popular vote by over 3 million votes the first time and over 7 million votes the second time. Almost 3/4 of the population of the United States do not like this idiot. Concentrate instead on the half of the country that didn't vote at all. At least there's some hope for those folks. You are never going to change these people's minds, or this one, or this one. Trying to reason with a current Trump supporter is like trying to teach a pig to fly. You just frustrate yourself and you annoy the pig. What does any of this have to do with Nutter Butter? Actually, nothing. I just like to write alliterative titles in threes. And I like Nutter Butter. Well, that's all for this episode. Be sure to comment, subscribe, like, poke, prod, punch, tickle, or whatever the hell you're supposed to do on these sites. And be sure to check out my favorite websites, Serendipity Seeking Intelligent Life on Earth, still looking, Voicescapes Audio Theater for the best in audio theater comedy and drama, a half-hour radio show, still the funniest half-hour radio show out there, and a new project I'd really like you to check out called Between Americans. It's on my YouTube channel. And of course, my sister podcast, Media War Stories, behind-the-scenes tales from the front lines of the media. Well, that's all for this episode. Thanks for listening. Now get off my lawn.
Wow.
There it
Wow.
was.
Tom, that was, first of all, that was really, really well done. Second of all,
Thank you.
at least for you and me, this is unprecedented. Unprecedented.
Unprecedented. So anyway, I'm happy. What was really great was being able to reply to the MAGA comments, to which I said, they said, you're the one that's nuts. You're weird. We're not weird. And I went, wow, thank you so much for watching. I mean, that's great.
I was really just going to ask you if you thanked them.
And I said, yeah, I did. I said, thank you so much. I'm so thrilled. Be sure to click and subscribe. And if if this is, like for some reason triggered or angered you, trust me, there's a lot more. You're welcome to come back anytime. So how do things go? For us, it's the closest to viral that what we'll probably ever get. But but who knows? So I guess maybe we should keep doing that stuff. Or
yeah, you've obviously.
let's face it, he's nuts.
I mean, we wonder about this, and in our brains. We hope that we're reaching people. Obviously, you have, and we can keep say unprecedented, but you obviously have touched the nerve of a number of people out there. Are you?
Yes,
Does it
and
make you nervous? I was searching for a
no, well,
word. Does it? I mean, you've done this stuff
it's
for so many years.
uh, yeah, no, but then I had to admit that I had to. I mean, realize that most of the comments were very positive. Most of the comments were, "Wow, right on. We agree."
Yeah,
One guy even had a very erudite quote from Krishnamurti, which is I was really impressed that somebody has read Krishnamurti. Um, no, no, most of them were thoughtful. Uh, I don't know what the algorithm does, but it is right now the most topical subject in news, which is great. But again, that I wrote in 2017. That's how long we've
right.
been dealing with this. And just now, I mean, yes, there were people that have been always screaming this guy is suffering from dementia, but the media's insistence of trying to well, there we go. Oh, that was weird. You dumped out and then you came back. I might not even edit that out. Um, the media's obsession with normalizing his behavior. Oh, it's just Trump being Trump. Oh, we don't care. Oh, yeah, he says crazy shit, and but he doesn't really mean it. Yes, he does, and 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 it's getting worse, and it's getting worse every day. So if you're out there and you're triggered by this, what can I tell you?
Weird. No, we're not weird people. We're actually just the opposite.
What can
What
I
I'm
tell you?
thinking, Tom. On one hand, this is, I have to say it since I'm your partner here. I'm just impressed that so many people, regardless of who they are, uh, have been watching and have taken the time to contact you. So you must feel good about that. You
Oh, I
wonder
feel
you
great.
wonder
I feel
who's watching, who's listening, and you wonder whether or not they're taking time to think about what they've just seen. Obviously, they have. So somewhere in your brain, with the people who work in your brain, all of you people must really be feeling, well, I've done something. I've reached the people. And when you sit here and you're just
you're,
talking amongst your friends, either whether it's a podcast or people in your house, that's all it is. But now you're getting them. All those people out there. It should be a little
yes,
scary.
and yes, and all the voices in my head. Actually, there's a great cartoon I saw. I wish I could find it. It's a it's a it's a picture of a psychiatrist, a very Sigmund Freud looking guy, and Trump is lying on the couch, and the caption is, "So are these large crowds in the room with us right now? Are the large crowds you imagine here right now?" Um, it's just strange. So, on another topic, have you ever had uh, a a time and experience where you and your crew you make something work in spite of the fact that management has completely screwed everything up? Whatever they planned didn't work, but you made it happen. Because I had a similar experience today with I'm trying to get fiber with I've decided to I
Right.
have it with Optimum, which is cable, and they don't have fiber, and I want it with Frontier, which used to be SNAT, which used to be Mabil. They've gone through many iterations, and I'm now on the third technician visit because they still haven't gotten the order right. And what amazed me is that when I talk on the phone with the salesperson, I can tell they don't really know what they're talking about. They don't really know what I'm asking them. And it's something simple. And then the technician I come, who's like an older guy, and then we get into a conversation, and he's been with back when he's been with the company since back when it was still Ma Bell, and he knows what he's talking about. And he goes, ugh, we can't do this. This order's all wrong. I'll fix it. You call them back. So they've gotten to the point where a team of two guys came and they actually ran fiber from the pole, which is at the top of our driveway. The only problem is our driveway, and you know because you visit, we have a very long driveway from the road down to our house. I'd say it's easily an eighth of a mile. And they ran the they ran the fiber. Good for them. So the guy came today, and again, another nice guy, really knew what he was talking about, and went, well, they got the order completely backwards. Even though I had the night before been on the phone and I told them, I said, do you know, you, you have the right phone numbers? You know what I'm saying? Yes, we've got it. And they read it all back to me and they got it completely backwards. But for me, this is just an endless line of technical disasters when people come to install either a satellite dish or a phone or anything. So much so that Voicescapes, our opening sketch on Voicescapes is called "Till Death Do Us Not Part," and it's about a guy calling the cable company to cancel his dead father's cable account.
First, can I have the reason your father wants to cancel his account?
He's dead?
Are you sure he wants to cancel his account?
And it's
Yeah.
hilarious, and it's exactly, people come up after it. Oh my God, I've had that exact experience. Of course, that's why the bit is funny. But this is just levels of incompetence that are just mind-boggling. And it was that way at
It
work.
is.
I
I
remember.
have one story that just popped into my head about with the station management, the people back in the newsroom that's screwing you up. I maybe you can explain it after I tell the story as quickly as possible. We're at it. I was at one scene, call it scene A. There was a second truck, uh, mobile van we're talking about. It was, I would say, maybe a couple of blocks away, 2 or 3 blocks away. Now, what happened was I was supposed to be the guy on the air. My crew was supposed to be feeding the material from our truck, call it truck A, and we were the lead story, and I was plugged in, and I noticed on a monitor that was next to me to let me know what was going on. I noticed that it wasn't me. It was the people. It was a reporter from the second truck, and the station and whoever was anchoring the story. They were doing all of these lead-ins about all the problems having being occurring at this location. Supposedly me. Now that was 2 blocks away. You didn't see that because they were, instead of being plugged into truck number two, they were plugged into truck number one, which was mine. And they're jabbering about all of the agony and the humanity. And I'm standing there, and they're all around me. There, this was. Oh, I remember we were in we were on Boston Common because we were near the Duckling site. So as they're talking about rage in the street, what you saw, because the video and audio was coming from truck A with Gary Armstrong, what you saw was Gary standing there and smiling and looking at ducks, and there was a rabbit that was running around the screen, and the anchor was talking about unrest and anger fermenting in Boston. And Gary Armstrong is giving you the latest updates. To stay with us because these scenes are unbelievable. And what you saw was ducks and rabbits jumping up and down and running around. And I was babbling, knowing what they were saying in the studio and trying to figure. So I finally said, yes, the it's the four horsemen of the apocalypse has hit Boston. And I'm not quite sure, but I think they've infested our lines because what you're getting is something from another planet. Now, if you're reading me, I'm on planet A. I'm in Boston Common, and I don't see the malcontents you're talking about. What I see and what you probably can see if you're plugged in right are rabbits and ducks who seem to be not understanding what's going on. Perhaps you should send the Paw Patrol over here instead of the police. and the guy who was actually plugged in on the other side was saying, the crowd is almost out of control. Send more police." And what they're getting from me are ducks and rabbits jumping up and down. And no matter what we said from our truck to say, "Plug in the other truck. You got the wrong truck plugged in." Gary will keep talking. He'll keep talking. It doesn't matter. He'll just keep talking. And finally, they just broke down, and I could hear laughing in my IFB. And they just stayed with me. And no matter what I said, and what I did was I picked up one of the rabbits and held the rabbit up to see. See, here it is. Here's the person you're talking about. And the rabbit's going, "Ah, ah, 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 ah." It's a low life moment. Are they rabbits
You know,
or are they Magger
oh,
people?
oh my God. If you were doing that story today, you'd have to be saying, all right, the Haitians are not eating these rabbits. None of these rabbits, none of these rabbits are in danger. You're, oh my God, that's brilliant. That is
You know,
hilarious. I, I,
Tom, we were
I,
wondering
I
about
love that.
that story about the Haitians, the immigrants eating pets. And we were wondering the first time we talked about the story, we were wondering about what would be the reaction back there in Illinois. And I saw, and you probably did, there have been all sorts of emergency calls about pets being eaten, and the police have been holding news conferences saying it's not true. It simply is not true. We've received no reports. We've dispatched troops to these scenes. There's nothing there. So
Of course,
this
there's
thing has
nothing there, but
got legs of its own,
the
and where it's going, I'm not sure.
oh, no, but what's horrible about it? Matter of fact, that was one of the comments from one of the you know people that didn't like the post. Or did they say, "Oh, you make jokes, and then now look at all the tragedy." And I was thinking, well, no, I didn't make
Right.
jokes. When he said it during the debate, everybody laughed. You see, Kamala, she just went because you just can't help it. Like,
Yeah.
what? And at first it was like, oh my God, it was funny. It was so just utterly absurd. But then that poor town, I feel so bad for them.
I do
Multiple,
too.
I think it's up to six schools and government buildings shut down, bomb
Right.
threats. Now and they keep doubling down on it. You know, uh, um, Trump. All right, going back to that, he's crazy. He said at one of his rallies or press conferences that when he's elected, he's going to deport all of the Haitians to Venezuela. Okay, no cognitive decline there. But here's the thing: those poor people are there legally. They were invited
Yes.
to come to Springfield, Ohio, because they had job
Right.
shortages. The town was doing bad. They needed the labor, and
Right.
they're hard workers. Immigrants. I'm sorry, but immigrants, especially, are the hardest workers out there. They want to come to this country. What pisses me off more than anything is that these white supremacists who were born in this country didn't have to do a goddamn thing to be a U.S. citizen like you and me. We didn't have to do anything.
Right.
We were born here. But those people, when they come in, they've got to go through a naturalization exam. They've got to take an exam that I guarantee you we couldn't pass. And I would guarantee you that
Right.
90% of natural born Americans could not pass. They come to this country because they want to be here. And you should and you should have some respect for that. But again, and
Right.
they because he can't say that he's wrong. And then JD Shady Vance, the gift that keeps on giving, uh, he won't. He admitted that he makes stories up, but he wants them to know that all these immigrants from Haitian. Jesus Christ, dude, you don't even know the name of the country. I mean, if you're going to be a racist, at least have the decency to get the name of the country you're being racist about
Yes.
correctly. I mean, uh, although there was a sign, I wish I could find it. There was a protest sign at some MAGA rally, and it was handwritten, and it said, "Learn to spell, morons." and they spelled morons Morans. You know, you, but well, we've done it again. So let's get to the plugs as quickly as we can, seeing that we already sort of did it once in the show. Serendipity Seeking Intelligent Life on Earth. God, that is a Sisyphus pushing a rock up a hill if there ever was one. Voicescapes Audio Theater for the best in audio, comedy, and drama. Half-hour radio show, still great. My sister podcast, Get Off My Lawn, which you've already heard the latest one today. Be sure to click and subscribe, where we talk about life, the universe, and everything. And of course, Between Americans, this wonderful broadcast that originated in 1941 and is just as relevant today. It's on my YouTube channel, and that's pretty much it. So once again, see you next week.